Alright guys, it's Mr. Colvin, and we're starting our new unit on coordinate geometry. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is slope. So this is a pretty familiar topic to all of you from Algebra 1 or from 8th grade math in middle school. So let's recall that the definition of slope is given by rise over run. Okay? And for those of you who took Algebra 1, you probably remember this formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, where x1, y1, and x2, y2 are the coordinates of 2 points on the line. So let's take a look at an example. So I'm going to draw a nice little line right here, and we're going to talk about its slope. Move that out of the way. Get that. Okay, great. Alrighty, that looks good. And I'm going to label my coordinate plane right here. So this is going to be 5, 10, 15, 20, and up here 5, 10, 15. Technology is wonderful, isn't it? 15 and 20. Alright, great. So I want to find the slope of this line. So in order to do that, I'm going to start by finding 2 points on the line. So I'm going to pick a different color. I'm going to pick this point right here because I can tell that one's on the line. And this one here looks good. I can tell that's on the line and it has some nice coordinates. So I'm going to find the coordinates of these 2 points. So we see the coordinates here are 2, 0. And the coordinates here are 10, 10. Alright. And now I'm ready to label my coordinates so that we know how to plug them into the formula. So this is x1, y1, and this is x2, y2. And it doesn't matter which one we call 1 and which one we call 2. It does matter which one we call x and y because x has to come before y. So now I'm going to plug that into my nice little formula here. So I have y2, which is 10, minus y1, which is 0, over x2, which is 10, minus x1, which is 2. So I get 10 over 8, which I can reduce to 5/4. And I'm just going to leave it like that because, we don't need to get any mixed numbers or deal with that. So that is the slope of this line. Now you're probably wondering at this point, well, how does this relate to geometry and what do we need to know about geometry? Well, in geometry, when we talk about pairs of lines, we really only care about 3 different possibilities. So 1, parallel lines. 2, perpendicular lines. And then 3 is intersecting, not perpendicular. So those are the only 3 possibilities. So we're going to talk about all 3 of these possibilities in terms of the slope. Actually, we're going to talk about the first 2 in terms of the slope because the third one we don't really care about. So parallel lines, as you could probably guess, have the same slope. So I'm going to copy this line. And look, I can move it all over the place, and the slope does not ever change. So I'm going to move it over here. And we can see very quickly, if I do the quick version of slope, we're going to see that if I draw a nice little slope triangle right here, we can see that my run is 4, my rise is 5, okay? And so this parallel line has the same slope as the original line. Well, perpendicular lines are a little bit more complicated. Alright, so I'm going to draw a perpendicular line. I'm going to draw it through this point if I can. I can. That's not quite perpendicular. Let's fix that. And now it's not through that point. But let's get it perpendicular, and then I can get it through that point. There we go. So we see here that these two lines appear to be perpendicular. And we can tell that because they cross at a right angle. So the question is, what can we say about the slope of this perpendicular line? So what we can say is, well, let's pick another point here. Let's pick that one. And the coordinates of this point are 5, 14. Okay. I'm going to color this line purple so that we can tell it apart, or dark blue at least. There we go. All right, so this right here is my perpendicular line. And I'm going to find the slope of this perpendicular line. So slope equals. All right, so I have, I'm going to call this x1 and y1, and I'm going to keep 10, 10 as my x2, y2. So I get y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And now I get negative 4 over 5. And we can see pretty clearly that there's a relationship between this slope here and the slope of my original line over here. And the relationship is that they are negative reciprocals of each other. So in other words, this is the reciprocal of 5/4, and we made it negative. When I multiply them together, that means I'm going to get a product of negative 1. So that tells you what's going on when you have parallel lines, and that tells you what's going on when you have perpendicular lines. And if they're intersecting but not perpendicular, then you can't really say anything interesting about the slopes as far as we care about in geometry. So these are the three situations that you need to be aware of in coordinate geometry. Parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines have slopes that are negative reciprocals of each other. And then if they're intersecting but not perpendicular, then you can't really say anything about that. So hopefully this told you about what you need to know about slope in our coordinate geometry unit. And then you're going to go to the Google form and answer some questions to show that you watched the video and understood. And you also have a chance to give me some feedback if there's anything that I can do better next time. All right, so I will see you in class tomorrow, and make sure to fill out that form.